Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. To those who are joining us internationally, welcome and thank you for joining the Contactless Solutions. Please use the Q&A tab in your navigation bar to submit questions as they come to mind. We will answer as many as we can during this session, but we'll follow up after the event to any unanswered questions. All sessions are being recorded. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. To those who are joining us internationally, all sessions are being recorded and will be available on demand in this event website through August. So let's get started. If your post-pandemic business objectives include finding efficiency through technology while maintaining or improving guest satisfaction, you're in the right session. Today, we will outline Agilysys contactless solutions that cover the end-to-end guest experience from pre-stay through checkout. Joe Ferguson and Paul Amodio, both sales engineers, will be presenting today. Paul is joining us from our Las Vegas office, and Joe is remote in Denver. For this session, Joe will kick us off. Joe, over to you.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate the introduction and greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining our day 2 sessions of our Next Generation Hospitality Solutions event. My name is Joe Ferguson, and with me I have my colleague, Paul Amodio. And if you joined us yesterday, or if you've been with us since yesterday, the introduction of our Next Generation Hospitality Suite was described by our CEO and leader, Ramesh Srinivasan. And through today's session, we will put more emphasis on the contactless solutions, which again are really fulfilling the vision that was already in place and in motion since 2017, 2018. And honestly, before the pandemic really put an emphasis and magnified the term contactless, we really looked at it more as self-service, but though these are one and the same. So what we will discuss with you today in our topic and demonstrate with you are these elements in our integrated suite of solutions. One being our booking engine, our guest book. So enabling the business to have the guest have a full online shopping experience, which again is self-service and touchless, and having that form factor be available through any device out there. And we'll expand on the importance of that, of the form factor and how it's come to be today, and what really the technology industry is calling it is Mobility 2.0. And within that same realm, when the guest is ready to check in on property at your establishment, how can we offer them, again, a self-service touchless component? And that will be done by our Guest Express mobile check-in, check-out. And throughout the guest journey, and again, with the emphasis on contactless today due to the pandemic, how do we interact with our guests so that way they still feel somewhat of the brand experience, or really fulfilling the brand experience, whatever you have to offer, and also keep a safe distance. And we're able to do that with our guest service. And while the guest is enjoying the facilities of your property and your amenities, how do we enable them to, again, contactless or self-service to order for food, right? Again, these are things that are quite magnified with the pandemic, but these are all the solutions that were in motion as we were fulfilling the vision that was really set out in 2017, 2018. And then we lean on our digital marketing, Agilysys digital marketing tool, because it really glues the experience together, because what we have in mind, and what really any business have in mind, is that when you enable these tools, how do you inform your guests that these tools are available, right? And no better way to inform them than through digital content, either by email and or text. So let's get started into the presentation and uncover the topic of contactless. And again, what is really known, and that popular buzzword of contactless today is really self-service. And if we look back at the history of mobility, which again, it went from contactless, peel back that layer, and then self-service. But before that, it's really mobility that enables all this experience to happen. So if we look back, and for majority of us in this room, unless you're 14, 15, we were a part of that genesis. We were around when the first iPhone came about. And though it was not the first smartphone per se, but the user experience really shaped how mobile and smartphones are really delivered today as far as a form factor, being a touchscreen user interface, simple navigation and such. Not too long after 2007, when the first iPhone came out, Google came out with their own versions and said, okay, well, not only are we going to deliver smartphones, but we're going to deliver them on any form factor. And so as the industry started to adopt to, this new cool sleek form factor, and then the tablets started to come out, what we're noticing is that the consumer behavior has really resonated with that mobile device. And arguably, any of your guests today are going to have some sort of mobile device, some sort of smartphone, whether that be a tablet or it's like a note tablet or a mobile phone or both, which is also pretty common with hotel travelers today. And ultimately, what we are finding now is that majority of the transactions on the web today have shifted from the desktop all the way to the phone. And you can say that COVID pandemic has accelerated that, but the trend was actually heading that way. It just seems that the pandemic, with all of our time and shutdown, we really escaped to our closest, most powerful device, which is our phones. So we're, keeping that timeline in mind, right? When you look at what the industry did initially as we looked to embrace mobility in the early part of 2010. So just rewind about 10 years ago, right? When the tablets first started coming out, like, oh my gosh, what can we do with these devices, right? Well, we started to look at the tablets as a way of an alternative to a fixed terminal, right? And having that alternative to a fixed terminal, that started to bring new efficiencies that really wasn't thought of at that time. And some of those efficiencies were to accelerate the throughput, meaning that a server didn't have to write down on a ticket and go back to a terminal, punch in the order, go back, get the food and get the empties and make these additional trips, right? If they had a tablet with a point of sale, then they're able to interact with the point of sale, and that order fires to the respective areas of the kitchen, further reducing the need to go back and forth. So that accelerated throughput. You also had a sleek form factor, right? The form factor is like, oh, wow, you guys are pretty modern. You have a tablet and you're ordering through it. That's really cool. But the other elements that we had to really consider from a supplier perspective, as well as a consumer perspective, was what platform is this available in? Is this available in Google? Well, we don't like Google here. We like Apple only. And so you have to consider both, right? And you probably went through some of that decision making and some of that friction on your own, that the point of sales were only exclusive to Google, only exclusive to Apple and such, right? And throughout that process, what we also found is that you got to consider battery life, right? So how long is this device going to be good for? Because unlike a consumer device where you have some rest period, on a business device, you're going to be using it full tilt, right? So you have to consider battery, you have to consider backup. Also, you have to consider, network viability. Is my Wi-Fi up to par? Do I get the connectivity? What happens if I don't connect? What about my printers? Do I want my servers actually carrying the printers? And what about payment, right? Well, what do I do on payment? Do I give the card to the guest? Can I pay right there? Or do I take the card away, PCI? So all these considerations happen with Mobility 1.0, right? Self-service 1.0, not quite contactless. So as we look at now the advancement, right? So fast forward, 8-9 years between the tablet embracement within the industry and now mobility embracement of self-service, and now really the emphasis on contactless. So what makes good contactless? or what makes a solution or a contactless solution a viable, good solution. So understanding what we learned from Mobility 1.0. Mobility 2.0 is a solution that doesn't require you to be, platform, or the platform decision is not part of that equation anymore. In fact, it just needs to be accessible on any device. So how do we do that? Well, through the years, what's also advanced is just really the browser-based technology or web apps. So modern solutions today can be deployed over the web, over the browser, and it'll have an app-like experience, but it doesn't request the user to download an app. Again, Mobility 1.0 made you decide to choose a platform, go to the marketplace, download the application, learn the application, and then use it, right? So a contactless solution today, a good Mobility 2.0 solution, removes all of that friction. So it needs to be immediate and it needs to be fast. And what better way to do it than over the web, as long as you have the connectivity, which arguably most of us do when we're interacting with our smartphones, that experience needs to be almost immediate. And with that same fold, the user navigation needs to be intuitive, meaning that it needs to be really easy for me. The clicks need to be meaningful, right? So we got to be mindful about how many clicks we're asking the user to do when they're shopping with our brand and our digital experiences. And of course, it needs to enable personalization. So that means that can the guest log in? Can they, note their preferences? Are we acknowledging their preferences and their favorites and such as we're offering up the shopping experience to them on their mobile contactless device? And lastly, even though we're talking about Mobility 2.0 not really requiring an app, but if your brand you're a household brand within the industry, or you're a very notable, recognized brand within the industry, it's in your best interest to forward that brand experience as much as possible. And so you may have your own mobile app that's available across platforms, both on the Apple Store, Google Store, Windows, and so forth, where customers are downloading that app. And as they download that app, they're downloading it, you're forwarding your brand experience. So you want to be able to incorporate some of these workflows that maybe we offer here at Agilysys. So the application needs to be flexible enough to be embeddable into that app or integrate into your mobile app without you having to recreate the wheel. So these are the elements that we came up with as we thought about contactless. And again, before contactless, it was really self-service, right? How do we enable self-service in a mobile 2.0 era? So as we go into these demonstrations here, again, the solutions around our track of end-to-end solutions are our booking engine, our guestbot. And regardless if you're calling it up on a desktop, tablet, or phone, you're going to have the same integrated booking experience throughout your digital contactless journey. So that means you can grab your hotel room, you can book a spa appointment, you can book a tea time, you can make dining reservations. Soon you'll be able to make reservations for definable activities, kayaking, tennis, all the stuff that really doesn't fit into the mold of golf and spa. And throughout that process, the business can be tactical, utilizing the booking engine to say, hey, we got some upsells and enhancements that we feel that you would like to be, maybe you'd like to participate in. And after the guest checks or makes the reservation, we're going to offer them how to check in. Again, we're going to offer them how to check in on their phone, on their device, without downloading anything. That's unless it's within your brand initiative that you already have something out there that's downloaded, right? So the idea is that, contrary to the fast and mobile, right? It's even just as fast if you have an app already downloaded, right? So if you've gone through a mobile experience, like if you go to homedepot.com and you already have a Home Depot app, I'm just giving a free plug-in at Home Depot here. But if you have like a Home Depot app on your phone, right, and you browse on their website and you say, oh, I want to look at this item and I want to add it to my cart, it should bring that cart item already to your mobile app, or somewhere within that navigation from the web, it says, oh, I recognize you downloaded my app. I'm going to go ahead and take you to that experience. And that's what we're talking about here for Mobility 2.0. We will also look at our InfoGenesis on demand. So, with really the pandemic still glooming and not completely in our rearview mirror, we've all gone through some sort of an experience of ordering, on the phone, right? Whether it be like through Uber Eats or the others, Grubhub. You're ordering mobility on your device, and that experience has now resonated well. So we want to be able to, carry that forward for your brand and accelerate those orders when you're able to fulfill both seating and non-seating capacity, right? So why not let the guests make that order as fast as possible? And my colleague Paul will walk through some of the other scenarios as well, such as our contactless payment. So, allowing the guests to really pay when they want to pay and leave, right? So I'm sure if you dine in any establishment, especially at an airport where you're crunched for time and you want to eat, but you want to leave as fast as you can, there's always that barrier of time of I'm ready to leave. I've decided I'm ready to leave. Now I need to get attention from my server and do the baton exchange for my check. So having the quick pay removes that burden, accelerates the throughput, and then you're able to turn your tables over even faster. And we're going to bring all of this content together. Again, you can have all these tools, but do your guests understand that they can use them, right? Obscurity is key, and it's really a layer of friction that everyone has. So how are you going to notify these guests? How are you going to notify your guests that you've revived your brand experience? You brought all these cool tools in digital world, and now you can take advantage of it. Well, what better way to let them know and just hit them on their inbox and or through text message? Again, this is part of our norm. So our Agilysys digital marketing tool enables you to utilize all of our around the edge products and seamlessly integrate that in your communication to your guests, whether that be from a confirmation or a reminder, or, hey, welcome to our property. We've got some really cool stuff, and these are the new changes that we've incorporated. You can order it right now on your phone if you're hungry. And of course, retargeting, right? So the data that you collect through our core anchored systems, InfoGenesis, our 3 property management systems, that data is now available for digital marketing for acquisition and retargeting. So with that said, we will now go into the product demonstration, and we'll start the contactless guest journey with our booking engine. So let me go ahead and bring that up real quick.
Joe, while you're getting that set up, can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
Cool. Does Express Mobile, the check-in, check-out, is that compatible with Apple and Google phones?
It certainly is. That's really the emphasis and the point that I wanted to drive as we're before we go into the demonstration, is that our application really, the theme is the mobility 2.0, right? Is that it's accessible immediately across any device. So it doesn't really matter if you have a Windows phone, Google phone, or an Apple phone. It doesn't require you to download anything, and you'll see that through the demonstration.
Okay, great. And you might be getting to this one as well, but since we have it here, what loyalty systems does the check-in, check-out integrate with?
Oh, really good question. So our check-in, check-out integration is by virtue of the PMS integration, our core anchored system. So if the questions we have the APIs within our architecture of core application. I don't know if you saw the slide that we did in the Engage suite, but we are now microservices oriented. So when our PMS integrates with a CRM rewards loyalty system, our contactless application, our mobile check-in, check-out refers to that integration. So by having that virtue of integration in the PMS, our mobile check-in, check-out will have that same integration. So it could be a casino management system, which is very popular, obviously, in the gaming space, or it could be a branded loyalty system that you may already have within your brand or your chain of properties, or it could be within the Agilysys loyalty system that we offer as well. So if you're looking to, do a loyalty initiative as an independent property, but you haven't found a solution to go about it, or really understanding, what are the algorithms that we want to have to, deliver loyalty, we have a solution for that as well at Agilysys. And it's called Engage.
Great. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah. All right, so let's go into the demonstration here real quick, and we'll start again with the mobile journey, right? So from the guest perspective, this is our mobile booking engine, or this is our Agilysys property management system, or it's actually, let me take that back. It's our platform. It's our solution booking engine, because it's all encompassing. So if I take away the mobile phone here, so this is how it looks like on a desktop. This is how it looks like on a phone. And we can make it look, on a tablet as well. But being a part of Mobility 2.0, all you need is a connection, right? You're on the browser, you look up yourhotel.com. I go on the proverbial, book now icon or a call to action on your web page, activates the booking engine, and that's what we're seeing here. So the guest is now enabled to, shop for what they want, really. So, and the booking flow in itself is very definable and customizable. And we can expand on that if you want to have a particular personal session about our booking engine. But from here, what the booking engine is enabling the customer to do, or the guest to do, is to get an idea of, what kind of specials, what kind of packages can I book at your property? And then the next logical step in the booking conversion is, here are the rates, right? Here's the rates on the packages that you've selected. So I want to arrive on Wednesday, depart on Saturday. Okay, great. Show me my rooms. So as we work through this workflow here, the emphasis again is that our booking engine is enabling you as the business to get those direct reservations as much as possible, because those are generally your lowest cost of acquisition. When you go through a third-party reservation, whether that be like an Expedia or Hotels.com, there's a commission fee that you pay for that reservation acquisition for the guests to show up at your property. You're going to pay them like a travel agent. Unlike us, our booking engine is completely commission-free. So going back to the task at hand, let's go ahead and pick this room here. And then here's a great example of how the business can strategically place some upsells. That way you're, further enhancing the guest experience. You're offering them something like, ooh, wow, that looks really good. And, or, also, elevating your revenue, right? Getting you those upsells. So we'll go ahead and add that. That's on my cart. And over here, here's an example where our booking engine, just off the shelf, has these elements that that could pertain to the context of your property. So if you have a spa, if you have a golf course, if you have restaurants, all of those are now bookable when you use our guest booking engine. So let's go to the spa real quick. And I will look for spa services on the second day of my stay. And it's going to present me my times. So I like the 10 a.m. I know there's a bit of a delay, but I chose the aromatherapy massage. That's very good. So we'll go ahead and add that. And just like we did at the hotel, the spa really the spas where upsells are going to be, or add-ons are more prevalent, right? So if I have the aromatherapy massage, maybe I want to do the foot treatment and hand treatment as well. So we'll go ahead and add that. We'll look for some tea times. So I'm going to look for tea times on the 30th. And we'll look at this course here, the black course, and we'll reserve a 7:30 tea time, nice early in the morning. And I'll reserve that for myself, okay? Now we'll go to our dining options. Here I have a multitude of restaurants that I can choose from. And it looks like we have plenty of times available. Let's do 5 p.m. I like to eat early, so let's go ahead and add that to my cart as well. So this experience that's being delivered through our guest book platform is called a one cart feature. And if you have our Agilysys Spa or Agilysys Golf, with any of our 3 PMSs, you're going to be able to deliver this seamless shopping experience to your guests. So now that the guest is ready to check out, they can go visit their cart and make any last minute changes if they need to before they finalize their booking. So in the cart here, they're going to look at the hotel stay, their staycation package, and they can see, is there a resort fee? Are there taxes? What's the whole total for my hotel stay here? And do I want this, champagne still? Maybe I don't. They can make that change and it's instant, right? It's very fast and convenient. Again, this is Mobility 2.0. I didn't have to download anything to go through this experience. And here's my spa. We'll go ahead and keep those upsells. Here's my tea time, and here's my dinner reservation, and I can see my grand total. So the guest is making an informed buying decision, just like they would do online with any other e-commerce store. They'll proceed to go forward. I've already logged in before I started this demonstration. So Mr. Steve Rogers, he went ahead and logged in. And this again illustrates another flexibility within the application of personalization is that, ask your guest to log in anywhere throughout this guest journey. You can really interrupt the guest or guide the guest to log in. So they give you that information, which saves them keystrokes down the line. You don't have to keystroke any of this information in, right? We'll agree to the terms and conditions. So here's your T's and C's to whatever that's been added to the cart. So it's dynamic. I have to agree to those T's and C's before I can give you my payment to guarantee this. So if you have deposit policies for the hotel, if you have deposit policies for the spa or for the golf course, they can all be individual deposit policies. So how you enforce them is derived to the core system itself, meaning that the deposit policy in the PMS in the hotel will be just that. The deposit policy in the spa will be just that. And those will all take their respective deposit when I say finish my booking. It's a very intelligent, sophisticated system, but the shopping flow is simple and easy, which is the key point within our Mobility 2.0 and really the contactless shopping experience that we want to offer to our guests. Okay. So now that I've completed my reservation, it's now time for us to, deliver the check-in experience to the guests through our Guest Express mobile check-in checkout. And so we'll show you 2 ways that really to get that content and notification to the guest. So if you've stayed at a major brand hotel today, there's a good chance that you may have their particular app. And if you have that app, you can go through a mobile check-in, checkout process, or let's just say check-in in this case, since we're at that part of the journey. So similar to that, what's really differentiating here is that there's no download of an app required unless that's part of your strategy or your brand strategy. So we will notify the guest by a simple text message, or we will notify the guest via email. So here's an email letting them know, hey, we're really excited to see you today. Today's your arrival date. We're going to give you your, just kind of remind you of your stay duration on your email here. And we'll give you a nice call to action to click on a link. And if you click on this link, you're now going through a check-in process. Again, no download whatsoever. In fact, I didn't have to enter my guest information, my confirmation, my arrival date. None of that had to be done. All I had to do is click on a link. Same idea here from a text, right? So from a text, Betty can just click on the link and now she's going to walk through the check-in process. So this is what we mean by frictionless shopping experience. And this is what it will look like on Betty's phone because our Mobile Express, our Agilysys Mobile Express check-in, checkout is also responsive, right? It doesn't require you to download anything. Doesn't require you to have a particular device other than network connectivity, which again, all smartphones have right now. If you don't have network, then you're probably up in arms and freaking out. So what are the elements now of this check-in experience? So on our mobile check-in checkout experience, the business can now offer up, here's some available rooms that I have that I think you would like. So let's go and offer them as an upgrade. So you're maximizing your inventory opportunity, right? Because if you have higher level rooms and you sell out all your lowest cost rooms or lowest price rooms first, now you're left to, try to negotiate and barter those additional rooms, if the guests push back. So rather than doing that, what you can do is just really introduce this as a pleasant experience, right? So as a pleasant experience, I can opt in and make this choice of like, oh yeah, I'll upgrade to that room for $31 extra, or they're on a vacation, why not, right? Or they can just say no, thank you, and proceed on. So as they proceed on here, they can enter their phone information to be notified if the room is ready or when the room is ready, because if you're offering this 24 hours ahead of time, well, there's no telling when the room's going to be ready, right? We still have guests occupying that room. So there's a notification method when the room's ready, and that's also automatic once the guest checks in through mobile check-in and the rest of the departments or rest of the operation assigns a clean, inspected room. So the guest is now checked in, and the next call to action to the guest, since they're doing it over their phone, contactless, is notifying them how to get the key, right? So the key portion is really on the basis of your context at the property, meaning that do you have the keys to support this scenario where I can now use my phone as a virtual key? If you have the keys to support it, then we will extend that experience and let the guests know that, hey, when your room's ready, you can actually go up and use your phone to open the door. Or if you don't have the keys to support that right now, which a lot of our customers don't, but we're noticing that that project is in flight, is that you just let them know, like, here, this is where you come pick up the key. We got a special area for you. Or you can use our kiosk. So that is the check-in flow. And this is the point of the demonstration where we're now going to transition to my buddy and colleague, Paul, where the guest is now either interacting, and I'll do a little preface for you, Paul, here. So, after the guest is checked in, they're enjoying the facilities of the property. We're now introducing them to new information at the property by way of our guest service. So our guest service is our service optimization engine solution. And that's a pretty big mouthful, and we could take this whole session on our guest service, but we're not going to in the interest of time. But one of the key features of our guest service is how it allows you to communicate with your guests in a two-way text. So in this scenario, we're letting the guests know, welcoming them that, hey, welcome to the property. We're excited to have you. Is there anything that we can do for you? And you can see in this text dialogue, the guest says, well, can I have a rollaway to my room? Absolutely, we'll deliver one right up, and our guest service will help you deliver that. And then you can see here in the conversation, like they ask, hey, where's a place to eat? Do you have anywhere that I can go and get a quick bite? Absolutely, we can. And I'm glad you asked, because our on-demand application is, again, web-based, contactless, and immediate, according to what we've describing to you with our Web 2.0 theme. So I'm going to go ahead and hand off the baton exchange to my buddy here, Paul. And Paul, why don't you go ahead and show them the cool things about on-demand?
Hey guys, but right before we do that, I have a couple questions for you. Does our guest book integrate with OpenTable?
That's a very good question. It does not today, but we are in conversations with OpenTable to expand that integration if at all possible. Our architecture allows us to integrate with virtually any other application out there, but that's also contingent on having OpenTable, in this case, be willing to work with us on that integration path, so that way, if you're an OpenTable user, you can still offer the same experience that we outlined here.
Okay, great. And then the last one, are welcome messages manually sent, or is there a way to automate this process?
Another great question. So they can be automatic, and they can be automatic with email, and they can be automatic with text. And both our Agilysys digital marketing solution has that functionality where you can do an auto text, or our guest service. But our guest service in context does a whole lot more as far as communicating internally with your stakeholders within the operation. And again, these are things that we'll be happy to uncover with you with detail in a more private setting.
Okay, great. Thanks, Joe.
And thank you, Joe. Segueing over on my end. To piggyback off that last question, and Joe, nice segue, the presentation you gave about our guest service and allowing two-way text communication with our guest service for your guests, where you send a means of a text. You know, are you hungry? Do you want to order? Or another method, which the questions we just answered would be via our Agilysys digital marketing can automate and send emails. And I'm giving you that example here. So I am now on my mobile phone, this contactless experience. I'm a guest at the resort. I'm checked in. I'm already comfortable on property. Maybe there's a digital marketing ad that's automated and sent to me. You know, here we have Alpha Hotels and Resorts. You know, do I want to order room service? And with the option to order now. So essentially I can have an email, click a link, and it takes me to that browser experience. So what now happens is I'm transitioning over to our InfoGenesis on-demand product, which allows me to go contactless and order for myself as a guest. Meaning if I'm a guest in a room and I want to order room service, or essentially I could be anywhere on property and order. I could be sitting poolside for our casino clients. I could be sitting in a sports book or at a slot machine. I want to order beverage service, you know, to-go orders from food and walk down and pick it up. Just about any venue, any scenario you can think of, our contactless InfoGenesis on demand can accommodate. So essentially it can be multi-site or multi-property, and I can have unique workflows, as I mentioned, like room service or do like guest pickup, delivery, curbside, many different scenarios. So I'm going to walk you through the process of picking a property, say we'll do a guest pickup order, and take you through the experience of placing an order right now. Now with on demand, we do have the capability where you can schedule as well. So if I were to do, say, a room service order, I were to do it tomorrow or later today, I can pick a time and that order would flow within our system to a queue and print when appropriate. So it's prepared properly. But we're going to go ahead and place an order ASAP. And then for our casino clients, we do have integration to loyalty with our on-demand product. And Joe had mentioned some of the technology, the microservices, the architecture behind how that works. Just know that guests can put in, say, a card number, phone number, account number, and also their PIN. So they have a secure PIN ID in order to validate. They can input that, and we will actually go out and query, you know, that casino system for the guests so that we can return, say, point buckets or offers or rewards they have. And now you have, in my on-demand experience, some of the different workflows that you could walk through. I mentioned room service, but think of using this in other venues. If I was just sitting down at a local restaurant, right, I can select, scan a QR code and select as well and to order. Or if I was sitting poolside, or, you know, or other venues where I could use this. So back to where I was sent the automatic email and I wanted to order room service, we'll jump into my room service menu. And then here you see a selection of categories. So you can customize the online ordering experience for what you want to offer up to your guests. And they can navigate and browse the window, see these wonderful descriptions about your menu items, unique pictures. You can add labels onto the items. We can even add calories and count that information as well and show that on a check total. And then it's just a matter of a guest selecting add to cart and building their shopping cart experience. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a few items into the shopping cart. And I definitely want to add an item with some choice groups so you can see what that experience would be. Like, say I wanted to order a burger, and obviously there's going to be some selections I need to say, like, how do I want that burger cooked? So we can say we want that medium well. And then from this point, we have the ability to scroll, which is, scroll there, but essentially you would be able to scroll and view your choice groups. So like, say if I wanted to add cheese or add, say, a bread choice, I would simply be able to scroll on my shopping cart and add that item. And then I can continue to add items into the shopping cart. And then if I wanted to view my shopping cart at any time, I can easily do that. Here you can see some of the items in my cart. Here you have the ability to manage your cart. If I wanted to remove an item, I can select the X. If I want to edit an item, I can select the pencil. We can even add additional items direct from the shopping cart. So for my burger, if I wanted to increase quantities, I could say, hey, I want to repeat an item. It'll add an exact item. You see the quantity changed to 2, or I can customize the item. So here I can go ahead and select the burger again and make my modifier selections. And then from there, I can scroll and you can see the different choices that I'm able to make. So if I wanted to add cheese, I can scroll left or right and see the different choice group options. And if you're signed in, you can have account sign-in capabilities, and then we can look at things like suggested modifiers, where it's turned on previous selections or settings. So for your guests, it makes the checkout experience more of a breeze by retaining some of their settings. And I can continue to scroll and see some of the toppings, choose things I want or do not want on my check, and then simply add that item into the shopping cart. And then from this point, you can see my order time. It'll take about 11 minutes in order to complete this process. So before I even pay, I get to see how long the check is going to take. That order takes to be prepared. So if I wanted to back out, I can simply clear my cart. Otherwise, I can go ahead and check out. I can start to capture some of the guest information. So you want my name, my phone number, and then ultimately we can text a guest. Joe mentioned about some of the SMS capabilities. So one of them being when my order is being prepared or when it's ready, I can get a message like for I'm doing a guest pickup that my order is ready to pick up, or if it was a delivery like room service, what we're doing, that I get a message saying your order is prepared and it will be delivered within a few minutes. You have the total ability to customize all of that verbiage and the communication that you send out to your guests. The guests can now add a digital tip as well. Makes it much easier. They can customize tips. They can see a summary of their order as you see below. If there's any gratuities, service charges, delivery fees for room service, you can add those onto the check as well from a business perspective. And then ultimately I go to the payment screen. In the payment screen, you have a multitude of different payment options that the guests can do. If they wanted to charge back to their room, they could certainly do that. If they wanted to use, say, a credit card, they can charge out to a credit card. You see some of the guest loyalty options. If I want to do Apple Pay or Google Pay because I'm on an iPhone, I can do that as well. An example of applying some of our tenders, let's take, for example, our casino clients. Now, I put in my account number and my PIN number at the beginning of this transaction, so it validated me as a casino guest. And now I can see all of the offers that are available to me. So I can select an offer and it will apply that to my check balance. Not enough in, say, points or vouchers, not a worry. I can multi-tender in here. I can select any amount of what I would want to tender. So if I wanted to use points, I don't have to use the remaining balance. I can select an amount that I see fit and do partial tenders as well, and put as many tenders up to about 32 ultimate tenders on this check if I really wanted to. So if I even wanted to finish off with a third form of payment, like I didn't have enough points or offers, I can use an additional form of payment. And remember, this is browser-based. That's the thing to remember. I'm not downloading anything on my phone. I'm just going to a URL, which I've just highlighted up here on the top of my browser window. And if I want to finish this transaction with the credit card, most browsers, people have shopped online, so I can have information like my credit card data automatically populate, so I don't have to type that in, and easily make that checkout experience a breeze. And I'll process this, finish this payment off to a credit card. And there you'll see I have a confirmed order. I'm order number 93. I can see a summary of my order. I have the ability to accrue loyalty points, so I can send back to the casino systems the check value, so I would be rewarded. I can also email or text myself a receipt, so I can go completely contactless and digital. And then here's an example of what that receipt would look like. This gives you as the business a chance to basically set the logos on the receipts, you customize the headers. You can also add footers to the bottom. The guest has a digital copy so they can see their full check. And if I scroll down, I can see the methods of payment where I used points, I used $20 food credit and a credit card as well. And then there you can see a check number. So the guest now has a full copy of the check, including check number. And if there ever was a dispute, the guest can show this at the venue and the check can be reopened or refunded, for example. And there's a full example of Infogenesis on demand, from ordering from a guest perspective to payment at the end. Now, one of the other options we can offer up is a contactless payment solution. So the scenario, if I set the stage here, would be I'm sitting down in a dining establishment or a venue, a server is taking my order, traditional service, I'm not ordering on my own or through my phone, but when it comes time to pay, instead of utilizing the server to pay, say a check with a receipt could be dropped off for me at like a table. I could scan that receipt, the QR code with my mobile phone, and it can take me to a digital copy of my receipt like you see here. So I could review my check. And if I wanted to proceed to pay, I can do this from my mobile phone. I can add tips, and I have all the same great payment methods that you just saw in on demand. If I wanted to use my mobile phone like Apple Pay or Google Pay, I can certainly do that. I can use credit card. I can post to a room. I'm going to go completely digital. So I added in my email address so I can get a copy of the receipt. You'll see down here where I can select the amount of tip or put in a custom tip amount, and then ultimately I can pay and pull up a multitude of different payments. And then I would pay for my check. And this allows you to go completely contactless from a guest perspective, because I know when I'm out dining, it takes time to say when I'm ready to go to track down a server, or it saves the server for me handing over a credit card and then running back to a terminal and having to authorize, bring a receipt, I have to leave a tip. That really draws out the process of what it means for a guest as far as their dining experience. So on both ends, we can expedite that complete experience by offering this contactless payment solution. And then that ends out InfoGenesis Quick Pay and the on-demand demonstration. I'll now turn it back over to my colleague, Joe.
Hey, Paul, real quick before we switch over, I have a question for you. How do you control the volume of orders during the day?
So you can easily do that. We have algorithms built in the system for order fulfillment and kitchen capacity requirements. So you can set things like how many orders can you take in a given time period, or even going down to the minute kitchen details, how many orders can a kitchen printer handle? And if you wanted to set things like timing of menu items, all of that can be calculated and viewed as orders come into the system. And then that's all can also be allocated and shown to the guest as well. You also have the ability to say if the kitchen has exceeded a maximum capacity of orders, how do you want it to behave? You can have the kitchen say force orders through, or maybe predict other times and show that to the guest saying, sorry, we can't complete your order at this moment, but we can offer up other times, or perhaps just say the kitchen is at capacity, sorry, we cannot accommodate you now.
Wonderful. Thanks, Paul.
All right. Well, thanks, Paul. That was a great demo. So we'll round out our demonstration here and presentation with the checkout experience for the guest. So just to recap, what we demonstrated so far is how the guest reserves their experience at your property, right, through our guest plug. We've checked them in through our Guest Express mobile check-in. We've asked the guests and really tickled their interest to do some mobile ordering by way of delivering the content with our Agilysys digital marketing. We're using InfoGenesis, our InfoGenesis on demand for the mobile ordering on their phone, as well as allowing them to pay contactless with our Quick Pay by InfoGenesis. So again, all these experiences that we've demonstrated so far doesn't require the guests to download anything. They're getting it instant, and we're delivering that or really narrating that experience by way of utilizing our Agilysys digital marketing. So here we're going to go ahead and check out Miss Anna Atkins. And Anna's going to check out just like she was checking in with our Mobile Express check-in. And so as Anna checks out, she's going to ask herself the questions like, whoa, what's this bill? So let's go ahead and investigate that. And she can just simply touch that with her finger. And what will expose is the guest folio on her phone. So the age-old and really timeless still to this day, right? The folio under the door, unless, if you want to take that task off the overnight bellman or the night auditor, I'm sure they'll be very happy to remove that task and burden from them. So here the guests can look at their charge. They can see the tax and the total. They can see the charge that was posted from our InfoGenesis point of sale. So that shows the entire check detail for the guest. So they can remind themselves of, what this charge is about. Maybe they had a little fun last night. And once they're ready and satisfied with what's on their bill, they just simply say pay and check out. So as they check out, the Express mobile check-in, check-out application is speaking with our core system PMS, and it's doing the authorization for the balance of the amount. Upon successful authorization, they get a message that said, you're fully checked out, you're ready to leave. And we're also notifying the operation both in housekeeping and front desk by way of our guest service, letting them know that you have a vacant room, vacant dirty room. So let's go ahead and proceed with the cleaning process and those tasks in housekeeping. So that completes our demonstration of our contactless guest journey here by Agilysys. Next, we will make room for some questions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Paul, also. We have one here about mobile ordering. Comp does not currently work with Bally ACSC. Is there a timeline for this to work?
So that is correct. On-demand ordering does not currently work with Bally ACSC. We can review that integration. It's currently not an actual ETA on when that will be available. It's something we will need to follow up with and return to that question.
Okay, great. All right, in the interest of time, that concludes our questions for today. Thank you again for your participation and questions. If you miss any sessions this week, they are available on demand through August. And after a break, we will pick back up with sales and catering at 2 p.m. Eastern. We hope you can join us. Before disconnecting, please take a quick minute to click the survey tab for a quick 3-question response. Thank you and goodbye.